Pop Shop America family, my name is Narola, and today we'll be painting these watercolor bunnies. But before we do that, like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. All right, let's go. We have our brushes, our paints, some gel pens, our watercolor paper, some paper towels, our palette, and our jar of water. All right, let's do it. Let's open our paints. We have a nice variety of liquid watercolor paints, and our colors are magenta, turquoise, blue, red, orange, violet, green, yellow, black, and brown. So I'm going to open up magenta. We're going to start by pouring a little bit on our palette. And I always like to kind of dab off the lip of the paint container just to keep things tidy. We're adding turquoise, violet, yellow, green, black, a little extra black, and brown. Now we take our handy dandy water dropper and drop some water into each pot to activate our colors. Don't you love how they bloom? I think that looks so pretty. Right? Just drop a little water till we get like a nice consistency. We can always add more paint later if we want a little bit more intense. All right, so let's start with our magenta. And with these rabbits, I'm just going to start with the ears. And the ears are kind of a basic, like a pointed teardrop or an elongated leaf shape. Like the first one's more of the elongated leaf shape. This one has a more of a flattened oval shape because it's more of a, I guess like the profile of the bunny ear. And they're just going to sketch in the head and the face. Just kind of basic, very simple shapes there. It's kind of like a squash pear shape for the head. And then we'll round out for the body. Sketch in his little front feet, like his front body, and then his rear hind quarters there, the rear leg, and his little fluffy tail. Okay, so we're going to start putting in some solid areas of magenta just to kind of define where the features are. And it's very light wash. You know, we don't want to go in too heavy because we want to be able to go into it with other colors. We want to keep it kind of light and fresh. Okay, so we're just kind of adding in some swats of color, and you'll notice where the lines are a little bit darker lines to kind of demarcate different body parts, where body parts join the body, like where the head joins the body. And you can see I've kind of left an area like in the back where the hind quarters kind of overlap the body and where the hind leg overlaps the body a little bit. So I like to have those areas be a little bit darker just to kind of remind me of where those areas are. All right, so we're filling in with more light washes. You can already see that the rabbit has like a little bit of volume, a little dimension to it, but it's still very light, very loose. Yeah. All right, just kind of playing in a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to add just like a little bit of the violet to kind of mark out those areas I was talking about before, where like the leg or the foot overlaps the body, where the head joins the body. We're going to put like a little bit of shadow in, like right above the nose, underneath like the rabbit's jawline, just to kind of bring out the ears a little bit. I always enjoy like those long strokes for the ears. It's like zoop. A little darkness there on the tip. All right, cleaning our brushes. While our pink bunny dries, we're going to start another bunny in the lower right hand part of the paper. Once again, starting with the ears, those elongated leaf type shapes. Just kind of sketching in the top of the head. And this time kind of, instead of starting completely with sketching the head, I started with the body, kind of sketching in the body, and I've gone back to the head here. And this bunny's a little bit different. It's like, I don't want to say more cohesive, but it's all of a piece, so to speak. And you can kind of see that his head's like a little bit more sunken down into the body. The body's more of a rounded shape. And if you look at it, you can kind of see that you could think of the body as like two circles overlapping each other. And then you have like the feet extending off of those two circles. You can even think of the feet themselves as being kind of like circular oval shapes that are connected by lines to the circles or the ovals of the body. So now I'm filling in the ears. We got a little bit of the face sketched in. Oh, well, we'll see. We'll make that little drop work for us. So this rabbit will have like maybe a little more darkness in the center of the face. It's not a problem. We just kind of work with what we have. Put his little mouth in. Sketch in his muzzle. Now whereas the other bunny, the pink bunny, the face is almost a profile, kind of like a 3/4 view. This bunny is looking directly at us. He's like, maybe he's kind of curious about us, just like we're curious about him. Okay, and I'm adding in a little darker paint, like around the front of his body, kind of like a ruff. I think he might be a little bit fluffier than the other bunny. Yeah, just to kind of indicate very loosely where fur would be. Just sketching it in. And just like before, having like a little bit darker areas to kind of notate where, like if a light is shining down on something, like the body would cast shadows. So like the darker areas are going to be kind of underneath the figure, or in this case, the bunny. So now I'm kind of filling in with like a little light washes, just to kind of bring it together. There we go, kind of filling in the ears there. Oh, and I think the ears might be my favorite part of the bunny to paint. Couldn't even tell you. Now I'm sketching in like little dark areas for the paws to bring out those little slits where the claws are hiding. There we go, like a little darkness under the feet to indicate, like, you know, the shadows where the bunny is kind of meeting the earth, so to speak. I'm just filling in a little bit, keeping dark and light areas to kind of indicate the different parts of the bunny, to indicate that the bunny has like some dimension and some volume. Yeah. Kind of sketching in around his face and keeping like the little areas to the side lighter. That's where his eyes are gonna go. And so you can use your paint like thinner and slightly thicker areas to get more intense washes of color or less intense washes of color to help you kind of, you know, design whatever it is you're painting. Now we're going back to our other bunny while the blue bunny is drying, and I wanted to add like a little more violet to kind of delineate some of the rabbit's features, like that rear leg where the foot's overlapping the body, a little darkness above the nose. And you notice like what I did on the ears, like it kind of bled a little bit into what might have still been a little bit wet. And that's not really bad at all. We'll be able to work with that. And just like I did on the blue bunny, I'm adding in like those little darker areas to show like the shadows, like where the shadow of the head on the body, around the paws, underneath the body. It just makes the rabbit like a little bit more dynamic in a way. But not super dynamic because we're keeping it light. We're going to keep it, for the most part, pretty pastel. Just very loose, very free. And we're using like the swatches, or these, I don't want to say bands, but say areas of color like next to each other to kind of define the space of the rabbit. So now I'm adding a little bit more green, a little blue to get kind of a, I guess, a teal color. And just like we used the violet on the pink rabbit, we're going to use this greenish teal color to highlight the ears and other parts of our blue rabbit. Yeah, just to kind of bring out the ears a little bit. And you notice I'm using my finger here to make sure I don't set my hand on top of what I've painted. because there can be that tendency just to kind of get maybe a little bit too relaxed and you end up putting your hand in your paint and smearing it, and that's not what we're trying to do today. Okay, so a little darkness above the nose to help bring that out and around where the eyes will be. And as you can kind of see, I'm kind of searching for areas with my brush, just kind of thinking it through as I go. So I'm going to choose to put like a little darkness around his muzzle, a little bit under his chin, to kind of help define his facial features a little bit. He's going to have a very interesting facial expression, I think. I'm going to add a little bit of green like around his chest to kind of define that and give that feeling of like that rough or that fluffiness that he has. Just a little bit around the edges to kind of define his edges and where he is in space, where his legs are, where the bottom of his body is. Like I say, with light shining down on something, then of course the shadows are going to be underneath the body, and it's going to be a little darker under there. Okay, a little bit of darkness around the edge of those legs, just to kind of mark out that one leg is behind the other leg. I just realized we're not going to see a tail on this one. Most of his fluff's going to be in the front, like around his chest and facial area. He's got a very kind of a sporty stance, doesn't he? Like he's ready for action, whereas the other bunny seems a little bit more relaxed. Okay, so we're dropping a little bit of that just regular blue. And just for a little bit of contrast, I'm going to add it to our top bunny so it doesn't have too much of a pastel-y quality. And you're absolutely welcome to, like if you want it to be more monochromatic, like just to leave like the pink and the violet. But I just want it to have like a little bit more contrast and intensity to it. Like it's still pretty pastel, but I just want it to have a sort of a vibrance with a little contrast to kind of bring out more of the features and to have a chance to play around with our colors. Now you're going to receive a packet of 10 of these liquid watercolors, and you're able to make choices about which colors you want to use. You can use all the colors available, or you can kind of limit your palette a little bit. I just wanted to expand the use of the colors that I had today. So I'm adding like a little bit of that blue like around the eyes, of course up the ears. I love how like adding this darker color just kind of made the other colors kind of pop. It gives it kind of a little bit more dynamic feel, and I really love that. But as always, the choice is yours. You can have yours look a little bit more soft, a little more pastel by sticking to more colors that are less contrasting. So what I'm doing with the green bunny now, or the turquoise bunny, is I'm adding a little bit of like the blue on top of the teal. And like the contrast is not quite as dramatic as it is on the pink bunny, but I think it does a really nice job of adding like a little variety of color and some dynamism to this rabbit to help bring out like the shadows and the features, a sense of value, a sense of dimension to the rabbit. While at the same time, we're still keeping it very loose, very, light, very simple. Oops, up. Notice a drop of paint landed a little bit to the right of our bunny. Sometimes that's going to happen. Like little splashes will happen here and there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a paper towel and just kind of dab it up a little bit. It's like it never happened. So now I'm going to take a little black and use it to start adding eyes to the bunnies. Now on the upper bunny, the pink bunny, like the eye's gonna be a little bit bigger because we're seeing more of the eye because of the 3/4 view we're seeing of the head. Whereas we're not seeing as much of the eye on the lower bunny because he's looking directly at us. Gonna sketch in like his nose and his mouth, make his eyes a little bit bigger. I could still see like a little, a faint outline of the drop that was there, so I'm gonna work with that. So I added the blue back. Now I'm going to add in some yellow while it's still wet, and we are going to create a flower. Just shoop, 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 shoop. And look how, because like the blue or the turquoise is still kind of wet, like the yellow bleeds into it. And it gives kind of a beautiful kind of washy watercolor effect. It's almost that kind of, I don't want a stereotypical like watercolor effect, but I think that's what a lot of people think of, like colors bleeding wet into wet like that. And because I've created a flower, I wanted to create some vines and some leaves to go with it, just to add like a little accent, just, you know, a little fun, little accent to kind of coordinate with our bunnies. And I'm adding in some streamers or vines too, just to kind of connect everything together and give it like maybe a little bit more finished appearance. And what's great about these bunnies, and also like this little accent I'm putting in here, like if you were to do like each of these bunnies like on a card, these would make really excellent cards to give as gifts, or if you want to put it on a postcard, that could be a lot of fun too. So this particular kit offers you like a variety of options in a way, like to kind of take these and do something really interesting with them that's not just like a painting on paper. So I could imagine these rabbits being painted individually on a piece of card with little swirls around it to add interest. Okay, now we let everything have a chance to dry because we don't want to use our gel pens on top. We don't want to use our gel pens on top of wet paint because it'll gunk up our gel pens. We want them to stay kind of clean and nice, and for our line work to be kind of clean and nice in contrast to the more kind of impressionistic paint style of the watercolor. So I'm using the pen to kind of like fill in the eye a little bit, add some eyelashes to kind of enhance the nose area and the mouth, just to kind of delineate that a little bit. Okay, coming over to our green rabbit to do the same, darken his eyes a little bit, put some lines around, just kind of let us know where the eyes are, define them a little bit. And I'm going back and forth between the two. I hope you enjoyed this Let's Paint Together paint kit from Pop Shop America.